The Los Angeles Rams overachieving last season, expecting a down year. 10-7 record. Their win total this year is set at 8.5. Not a lot of losses. Carson Wentz, Jordan Fuller, some key adds. Jonah Jackson to play guard. Darius Williams and Tre'Davious White at corner. Cameron Curl at safety. Jimmy Garoppolo, Kobe Parkinson. Last year they started 3-6 after their bye week. They finished 7-1, with their only loss being to the Baltimore Ravens in overtime. Sean McVay figured it out the bye week. The offense was humming, and they won games despite the lack of talent on defense outside of Aaron Donald. Reagan, can the Rams go back to the playoffs in 2024?
No, I got them going 7-10. I'm buying into the first half of the season last year, Rams, not the second half. I really just think they were overachieving. I think teams are going to adjust. I think the schedule's not easy this year. It might start off a little bit easier, but it gets harder down the stretch. I believe in the I believe in the talent of their offense, but defensively, let's not forget they lost Aaron Donald and DC Raheem Morris. So
yeah,
that scares me a lot because you were able to win a lot of games down the stretch when the defense stepped up because Raheem Morris, great DC, and then obviously you have Aaron Donald. Well, Kobe Turner, guy had 9 sacks last year, big impact rookie. Does he put up those numbers when there's no Aaron Donald taking on those double teams?
It's a great question.
Obviously, they did go out and address the biggest need, which they know that. They're smart, a lot smarter than we are, but they go out and get teammates from FSU and Jared Verse to play the edge and Braden Fisker to play D tackle. So
yeah,
they obviously went out and addressed that, pair him with Kobe Turner. So that's huge. But no matter what, none of these guys are Aaron Donald level, so that scares me a lot. Secondary still weak. Linebacker core is still weak. So, but, they did get Darius Williams, too, like you said before. So they obviously are making big strides. I like how they went out and got another guard to pair with, they re-signed Kevin Dotson, and then they get Jonah Jackson to pair with him. So I do like that. But to me, it's just going to be too big of a loss, losing Raheem Morris and Aaron Donald, where I think the defense is going to go back to what we saw in the first half of the year, a team that bleeds points. And, I'm still a little worried about Matt Stafford and his health and stuff. I mean, ever since the Super Bowl, he has dealt with injuries after injuries. And then obviously Jimmy G is made of glass as well. So it's not like, oh, they got Jimmy G. Like, he's not a durable guy either. So if either of those guys are to miss time, I mean, Stetson Bennett, is he going to step in? Is he even on that roster anymore?
I don't know.
Obviously, I like Kupp and Nakua, but
yeah, I mean, I got the Rams at 9-8,
but yeah, 7-10.
I got the Rams at 9-8. Reagan,
making the
barely over 500. I don't know if 9-8's getting in the NFC yet. I gotta, we still gotta look. I still gotta go through the NFC North and really, really break it down and sit down. They're fringe playoff for me, and it's because of Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and their offensive weapons. It's a similar team for me with like the Cardinals. They're better than the Cardinals, but I don't like the defense at all. They did get Verse and Fisk to play on the defensive line, but they're needing multiple guys to pick up the slack with Aaron Donald no longer there. And I love that you mentioned Kobe Turner was really good as a rookie, like a diamond in the rough, but now he's got no more Aaron Donald. So it's a great point. Offensively, I mean, how can you not love Kupp and Nakua, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league? Kyron led the league in yards per game, had 1,000 yards in only 12 games last year, which was awesome. Puka had 1,400 yards, was sick. I mean, Kupp's got to return healthy finally. We haven't seen him healthy in 2 full years, basically. So I do like the offense. The O-line was good. I mean, it was supposed to be really bad last year, but they found some diamonds in the rough. Steve Avila's moving from guard to center. He was good. Alaric Jackson allowed 1 sack as the left tackle. Jonah Jackson comes over from Detroit. Was not the same guy last year. He is a former Pro Bowler, though. He was 34th amongst all guards, according to PFF. So solid offensive line. Stafford is 36 years old, though, but I think he's going to have a big year. It's just the defense holding it back for me as well. Darius Williams was really good for Jacksonville last season. Tre'Davious White, big name on paper, but just hasn't been healthy in years. Russ Yeast is okay at safety. It's just a really young defense that is going to need a lot of young bucks to step up if they're going to be successful. I don't know. I just think it's a team that's going to score a lot of points, be in a lot of close games, win close games because of the experience of Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. 9-8, though, I don't think they have a higher ceiling than what they did last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree that the ceiling is definitely not higher than last year. And I think a lot of last year was the perfect storm and adjustments were made, but adjustments go both ways. And I'm expecting it to be on the opposition this year that they're going to kind of figure it out more. I think Kyron is going to regress. I think Puka will regress in the yardage reception standpoint. I think he'll still be elite, top 12 guy, but I think some of that factors have to do with Kupp being healthy. But I think Kupp's going to have a way better year this year just based off of health. So, but
yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp's a guy in fantasy right now that his stock is low. That if you're a team that's in win now mode, I would try to get Kupp at a cheap price, even if it's in dynasty. I think he's going to have a bounce back season for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I can't imagine his price being high, and even in redrafts, I'd imagine he's like a 4th, 5th round pick right now. I mean, Puka and Kyron are the guys that are getting they're the ones getting all the respect and getting pushed up to that back end, first round, early second round capital right now.
Yeah. MVP, Reagan.
Yeah, it's Matt Stafford. Let's be honest here. I mean,
yeah,
the team
Stafford.
goes as far
Not
as he
much
does.
Debate.
Yeah, if he gets injured, I mean, Jimmy G will step in. Team won't be good. So, obviously, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. If they're to get in the playoffs, it's because he's healthy and he's playing at an elite level. If they miss, either he's injured or he's just, back end of his career.
X Factor.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the defensive side because there's so many different. We kind of know what the offense is, and the defense is kind of the X factor of this team right now. I'm going to go with Tre'Davious White. They gave him a cheap contract. He's a guy that we've seen I believe he's been an all-pro multiple times back with Buffalo. So if he can become healthy and even get back to some semblance of that, it's huge for the secondary. I mean, you got Darius Williams. He's coming off a good year with Jacksonville. If you compare him with a Tre'Davious White that is even like Pro Bowl level or solid level, staying healthy, I mean, that's a huge X factor that will really have a big impact on this defense. I mean, the secondary was bleeding points a lot last year. So, and obviously there's no Aaron Donald to hide the secondary issues this year. I mean, we can say, oh, how good it is that they spent a 1st and 2nd round pick to address the D line, but it doesn't mean it's going to work out. So he has to be the X factor. He needs to step up.
Yeah, I went with the young defensive line. Kobe Turner, 9 sacks last year. Byron Young, 8 sacks last year. Both rookies. That looks really good. Now you draft Braden Fisk and you draft Jared Verse. 2 more young bucks stepping in. They're going with the approach of we need multiple guys to pick up that production that Aaron Donald is leaving behind. If that young front struggles, teams are going to feast on this defense. If that young front can develop together and Turner and Young could repeat their success from last season, this team will be a lot more competitive than people think, and they could make a run in the playoffs. It's that young defensive line for me. Rookie of the year. Which one of the pass rushers you going with? Unless you're going Blake Corum, but
no.
I can't see that.
No. I'll go with Jared Verse just because I think he'll have the higher chance out of the two to be a big sacks guy. I mean, he has the potential to not only have the most sacks out of the two of them, but on the whole team. I'm not going to sit here and say Kobe Turner's a lock to do that or Byron Young. So to me, Jared Verse, it will have the bigger impact year one, but I think they both will have the opportunity and both will have big impacts barring injury.
I'm going to go Braden Fisk. I don't think Verse is going to be a bad player, but it took him a while to break out in college. He did play 5 years in college. He struggled more so against better competition at Florida State and feasted and had a lot of sacks against worse competition. So I think he might struggle out of the gate where Braden Fisk can be that presence in the interior that they so desperately need right now. So I'm going to go with Fisk for Rookie of the Year. I don't know. I don't think he'll have a better career than Verse, though. All right, your D-boy, Reagan.
Yeah, mine's Ernest Jones. I mean, this guy was a machine tackling last year, I believe.
He was 4th most run stuffs in the league last season at linebacker. He had a tackle on 27.9% of run defense snaps, which was 1st amongst all linebackers.
Yeah, he had 145 tackles too. I mean, Bobby Wagner was that run stopper 2 years ago. He stepped right into that role, had a huge impact. I mean, this is a defense lacking a lot of talent, a lot of young guys with potential, but until they prove it, you can't sit here and say it. But he's one of the proven commodities on this team right now. So he's going to have to step up even more now that Aaron Donald's going to be gone. I expect more runs getting to the 2nd level.
Yeah, I'm going to go Byron Young. I just think his production last year is going to be more easy to replicate than Kobe Turner, that he's not lined up right next to Aaron Donald, and he's playing on the edge, so he's more so on an island. So I'm going to go with Young. If he can get that double-digit sack mark, I think it'd be huge for this Rams defense. Drock, what's your lock?
W in the chat.
You guys are probably going to hate me for this, but I'm going to give you what I'm thinking is what's going to actually have to happen for this to hit. So I got Kyron Williams to record a 200 plus rushing yards in one regular season game.
What are the
He's
odds?
had it's plus 475, not great odds. But hear me out. He had multiple 150-yard games last year, and I think if he has like 150 ish, and they may go to overtime or something like that, I think he could touch it. 475 is not as juicy as I would like to hit it on. But that's my lock
Where'd
for
you find that?
DraftKings.
That's crazy. That's just goes to
Yeah.
show you could bet on
Crazy
literally
future bet.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I definitely don't hate it. I mean, he's a guy that got a ton of volume last year. I mean, as long as Blake Corum isn't super involved, which I'm not worried about it. I think he's more of a depth piece to give Kyron a blow. But I think there's going to be games, like you said, where it's turning into a shootout or it goes into overtime and he has a couple big runs. So I don't hate it at all, Dave. I mean, hey, you got 17 games to do it. I don't know. Does it specify on it like playoffs or anything like that?
Yeah, it's regular season. It's got to be.
Yeah, regular season. Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, hey, 17 games to do it. I don't hate it.
I don't hate
would've
it
liked
either.
better odds, but I guess it just speaks to what Vegas thinks, and I think he has a solid chance to do it because it's probably the best odds out of most running backs to do that.
Yeah, and Corum just didn't look the same last year recovering from that knee injury. So to be determined on if he gets that explosiveness back this in his rookie year. But yeah, I don't see Corum as too much of a threat. I mean, I think Kyron's workload will be a little bit less, but he could still go for 200 in any game.
Yeah, and I think people are getting way too worried about Corum. I mean, I definitely wouldn't pass on Kyron in the second round because of Corum. I mean, he's going to be the red zone guy. He had a nose at the end zone. He had 15 touchdowns last year. He wasn't super involved in the passing games. You'd like to see that go up more this year. But I mean, teams, and especially running backs position, it's the biggest turnover rate in the NFL. I mean, teams go through running backs. Obviously, it's the most dangerous position. You're getting hit the most out of any position. So it's never a bad thing to have a depth piece. So it doesn't have to be they don't have faith in Kyron. It could be a more like, hey, it's a position where you're going to get hurt a lot. Injury risk is way higher here. Let's get a guy that could be a depth piece, not have to run our guy into the ground. And historically, Sean McVay's relied on one guy. So if you go off the history, Kyron will have that opportunity. And I think the only way we really have to worry about him is if he's playing bad. Therefore, it leads to Corum's role expanding, or if injuries. I don't think Corum's going to play himself into the role. I think it would be Kyron getting injured or playing himself out of the role, just going off of McVay's history at the running back position, kind of like last year where Cam Akers played himself out of the position with injuries, off the field stuff, just, a lot of different things.